Hello friends, this is the poem Crossing the Bar by Alfred Tennyson. Now first telling you about Alfred Tennyson. Alfred Tennyson was a British poet. He was born on 6th August 1809. He was the poet laureate during Queen Victoria's reign and remains one of the most popular British poets. He died on 6th October 1892. Crossing the Bar is an elegy written by him which focuses on the transitory nature of life and the finality of death. This wonderful short poem was written in 1889 when the poet was visiting the Isle of Wight. He was 80 years old at the time and was down with a serious illness from which he eventually recovered. The illness made him ponder on death when he grew very old. He uses the metaphor of crossing a sandbar to represent death in this poem. Now, here comes the first stanza, and the lines go, "Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me, and may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea." Now, the explanation is, as the poem begins, the poet describes the atmosphere. He says it is sunset and the evening star is up there in the sky. He feels as if someone is calling him. He has a clear intuition of the unmistakable call of death. The poet believes that his death is close. The imagery of sunset and evening star represents the end of the day. Just as the day is about to end, the poet says that his life too is drawing to a close. Tennyson uses his famous metaphor of crossing the bar. He describes the death as an act of passing beyond human existence. The word bar here means a sandbar. A sandbar is a geographical structure which forms a kind of barrier between the water inside and outside it. The poet uses this sandbar as a symbol of death, with the water inside representing his life and the water beyond representing the afterlife. He wants to put out to sea without the moaning of the bar. The poet wishes his death to be without any pain or mourning. Now, here we have the second stanza. The land's sharp features seem to be the century's corpse outleant, his crypt the cloudy canopy, the wind his death lament, the ancient pulse of germ and birth was shrunken hard and dry, and every spirit upon earth seemed fervorless as I. Now, the explanation. In this stanza, the poet begins to compare and connect the sharp features of the landscape around him to the dead century, the century that has passed. He gives a gloomy picture of the past by calling the cluster of dark clouds the crypt or the tomb of the dead century. Further, he calls the blowing cold wind the death lament of the tomb. He says that the old process of birth and growth too seems to have shrunken hard and turned dry due to lack of warmth and light, and everything upon earth seemed without any energy and appeared as passive as he. Now, here comes the third stanza, and it goes, "Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark." Now, here the poet describes the time of the day and likens it to his impending farewell to life on earth. When he would close his eyes, it would be all dark when night sets in after the evening bell announces the late evening. The poet here uses twilight to show the state of his physical appearance. Just as the day has ended, his life too is about to end. The poet expresses his wish that there should be no sadness of farewell upon his death. The sadness of farewell may mean both the poet's own sadness, as he has the intuition that he is getting closer to death, or the sadness of the people who feel grieved after he leaves them. Again, Tennyson writes, "When I embark," to convey the idea of his journey after his death. To him, death is not the final destination, but the beginning of a new journey which he would take after he dies. And now, here comes the final stanza, and it goes, "For though from out our bone of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pallet face to face when I have crossed the bar." And here the poet accepts the truth of human life, controlled by time and place. He says that he will be beyond the boundaries of time and place when he dies, and the flood of death will carry him far away, far beyond the reach of the world. The poet is of the view that there is a place beyond time and space where he hopes to go after his death. It shows his belief in another life after death. The final lines of the poem have hidden meanings. First, the poet hopes to see his pilot face to face when he will have crossed the bar. He calls God the pilot of his life, who would fly him into another world when he dies. The poet speaks of his spiritual journey after he closes his eyes and leaves the human world. The use of the word crossed may suggest crossing the bar, but it may also be a reference to Christ, as it sounds similar to both Christ and cross. The poem thus ends on a positive note, as he accepts the finality of death and hopes to meet God, whom he calls his pilot after his death, who would fly him away from the earth. So here comes the end of the explanation of the poem. And if you have subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you haven't, and if you choose to subscribe, I promise, and yes, I will deliver what I promise, the quality videos for you from time to time. And once you understand the explanation, you will be able to score high marks in your examination. So, best wishes. Thank you.